401. I wasn't planning to do a 401, bold 401, confidence 401, faith 401, new levels 401, new year, new me 401. I was not planning to do that, but I felt like our 301 was a bit rushed, and I am in the office, so it's not the best angle nor the best lighting, but hey, here we are. Okay, so just to recap the prior lessons, 101 was about tapping into new levels of boldness and faith and confidence and performance and results by understanding the God that you serve, right? And I was talking from a biblical standpoint. Now, I was popping a little like, but if you are of other faiths, it will still work for you as long as you just root it in whatever your text is. I do respect and other faiths, and a part of my faith as Christians, we believe that if you don't follow Christ, you're not going to make it to heaven. So it is a part of our faith to evangelize, to try to win converts for Christ. We do it because we love you. So as we're being religiously tolerant, you have to be tolerant that every Christian in your life may be tolerant of your religion, but we also like, you should be on our side. And I think Muslims are like that too. I had a Muslim evangelize to me really good, and I was like, okay, I took that Quran. I did. And I looked in it, and, you know, I really prayed on it because he was earnest. He really meant that thing, and he really wanted to protect me. He really wanted me to make it to heaven. And so we all have our different faith systems. But 101 is about tapping into that faith system to just understand your own power. Okay, 201 was about soothing your nervous system, because all change, great change, expansion, new territories, new promotions, new relationships, new businesses, new opportunities, all of the things will make your nervous system do this. So we went over ways to regulate that physically and scripturally. Okay, 301, we started getting into some more nuances for those of us who do public speaking, who perform, who do anything public facing, including content creation. And so we just went in some tips to help you reach new levels of boldness with that. The whole point of all of it is to get us out of our heads and into the flow space, the God space, the spirit realm, where we can do what God is calling us to do. Okay, so I wanted to go into some of the tips I shared for 301 a bit more, because I know a few performers in particular have asked for this, and I thought this morning I just had them in mind, like, let me be a little bit more detailed. Okay, so once you do your mirror work, okay, you speak to that thing, you speak those affirmations to yourself, you look yourself in the soul, and you do this naked. Okay, you're also going to dance naked. You're going to release that praise. You're going to release that new level of faith and belief in yourself. Okay, after you do that, you want to rehearse the same way. Why? Because when you get on stage, when you get in front of a crowd, when you go to give that presentation, when you go to maybe get interviewed about that loan, that mortgage, the adoption papers, whatever it is that you have going on, adrenaline and things are going to take over. So the more rehearsed we can be, the better. And when we rehearse naked, it just intensifies. It'll be like 10 rehearsals in one, because we're going to always be our worst critic. So if you can rehearse and do that thing in the mirror naked, it's just unlocking this new level of whatever this is that God is bringing forth out. Okay, so I cannot stress the importance of that. Now, I know some of you have children, have husbands, you don't live by yourself. Like, how do you carve out the time? You're gonna have to lock that bedroom door. You're gonna have to let mofos know what it's hitting for. And again, this is why we need to be so potent, because you may not have time to rehearse 10 times. Maybe you only could fit in your schedule 5 rehearsals, but we need these things to be supercharged. Speaking of which, going back to, 211, when we were kind of just digging into what is the fear, what is the insecurity, what is the lie, I'm able to do that very quickly, because I've been doing this type of stuff for a long time. Now, if you had your children young, if you had experienced a whole bunch of trauma, a whole bunch of like turmoil, if you've been working a lot, maybe you have not had the time freedom to kind of develop that muscle of to one, even identify the emotions that's coming up while you're doing whatever, and then to be able to pinpoint what is the actual trigger. That may take you more time because you just haven't had the chance to do it yet. That's when you want to journal. You want to ask yourself, why do I feel this way? I don't like this. I don't know why. And then as you just continue to give yourself space and time and the blank page, it will start to come out. Maybe you're asking God in prayer, like, show me what it is that is making me feel blocked. Show me what it is that is making me scared. Show me what it is that my mind is trying to protect myself from. Like, these things take time, right? Now, again, all of you are incredibly gifted, anointed people. So I know you've been doing this type of stuff, but again, when you're going to different stages, it may take more repetition, okay? Or you may be able to get to it quickly. You may be able to be like, oh, that's because in the 3rd grade, little Billy pushed me down. Alrighty, I'm back. And let me just go ahead and finish quickly, okay? So we were talking about rehearsal. We were talking about the importance of rehearsing naked so that you can see and speak directly to that inner critic, so that your rehearsals are that much more potent, right? Now, the more rehearsed we are, the more confident we are going to feel when we actually do the thing, because you know that you are prepared. And again, when you're doing it, your adrenaline is going to go crazy, but that rehearsal will anchor you. All right. Now, remember, we are not rehearsing. We're not doing all the things outlined in 101, 201, 301, and in today's 401 to try to be something else, to try to look like somebody else for other people's approval. No, what we're doing is stripping ourselves down to that thing that is in here, because, honey, that is the secret sauce. That is the great work that you were prepared beforehand to fulfill. This is why you are wonderfully and fearfully made. So all we're doing is stripping away all of the conditioning, all of the trauma, all of the whatever, and getting back to who you are. You think about who you were as a little girl, as a little boy. When you do that thing, the essence of that person is going to be what comes out, okay? So one of the affirmations that I will tell myself, whether it's with performing or working with clients, whatever it may be, when I feel a part of me like, oh, I will tell myself, I have nothing to prove. I am who I am, and I do what I do. I have nothing to prove. I am who I am, and I do what I do. Okay? Because whoever it is meant for is going to gravitate to that thing. This background looks really good. I wish I had this one earlier. And then another affirmation I use when working on, again, Bars Fest, when preparing for the Phil Wade show, like all these different things that just required like me to let myself free. I told myself repeatedly, I am the show. Not that I have to put on a show, honey, I am the show, okay? But long before I was doing stand-up comedy, when I was still in my, shadow artist phase, right? When I was still afraid to perform, when I was still in that artistic hurt, so I hadn't touched the stage. Now, let me say this. I hadn't touched the stage formally, but I was still, and this is how shadow artists work, right? Because again, when God calls you, the work is gonna find you, right? So I was still doing artistic things through church, and I was still doing some direction through my role as a teacher. So I taught English, and so I would use plays, and I would teach my kids how to direct and how to act. So that artist is always being used, but it will just be used in a part that's like, but it feels safe to you, right? I felt safe in my church. I felt safe in my classroom, right? Excuse me, but during that season of my life, so let's say 2008 to 2012, my best friend would always introduce me to people and say, oh, she's a show, right? And I guess that was her way of kind of orienting them to me, like she's about to be extra. she's a show. So fast forward to now, when I'm doing these things professionally, right? When I'm touring and performing and getting paid to do this, and then you start to feel these little pressures, and that's why I have to remind myself, you have nothing to prove. You are who you are, and you do what you do, honey. You have been a show. And then I remind myself, I am a show. I don't have to do, so this last, and I think it's on my page, maybe I'll add it to the description box. But this last full weight show, I was the fashion fairy. And it was just so over the top. And I remember saying different stuff and people just cracking up. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, that's funny? But yeah, because I am a show. So that's just what comes out. Okay, so again, this 401, practice your speech butt naked in the mirror. Okay, you want to get as many reps as possible. Practice that choreography, butt naked in the mirror. Practice that poem, butt naked in the mirror. Practice that pitch, butt naked in the mirror. And yeah, and then the ideas that will come to you, the things that you will start to put together will be this. Now, this is a bonus, this is a pro tip, okay? If you are blessed enough to have somebody in your life who is strong, is experienced, and naturally gifted in whatever it is that you're doing, have a session with them. Put your clothes on. You know, don't do it naked unless, you know, that's what y'all both into. But put your clothes on and run the material with them. I have a stage coach at this big age. Listen, I have been performing and writing and directing and all these different things for 30 years, honey. I have a whole theater degree, okay, from the University of Virginia, wahoo wah. And I have a stage coach. Why? I mean, Kobe Bryant had a coach. Serena Williams has a coach. Like, what are we talking about? The greats have coaches, because you're going to see so much and then somebody else is just going to pull those little things out of you. Okay. So again, if you have somebody in your life who is more experienced, or as, right? Because another set of eyes is another set of eyes, naturally gifted, and you know, whatever y'all communication style is, it works for you, because you do want to protect your artist. You don't want to put your artist in front of somebody that's super critical, because that's going to have the opposite effect of everything we just discussed. But somebody who's supportive and will still push you, right? So my stage coach is a beautiful dancer and choreographer. She worked with so many different types of artists. She's so collaborative, she's so supportive, and she knows what the fuck she's talking about. So after I have done all these things I just detailed over these 4 videos, then I will book a session with her and run it. I will run it in the exact costume I'm gonna wear, or the exact outfit. I will run it in the exact shoes. That is critical, ladies, okay? If you have not rehearsed in those shoes, do not perform in those shoes, okay? I perform sober. I suggest that everybody else does. If you need a little whatever it is that you do, then you should rehearse that way too. It shouldn't be a switch up when it's game time. You know what I mean? If you are on performance enhancers, then you got to use them in rehearsal too, all right? Run it the same way with your coach and get that detailed feedback. And that is gonna, that's that extra level of boldness, that extra level of confidence. That is showing your faith by your works. Yeah, this was very, very thorough. This is me being obedient, because for like the last 2 years, people have been asking for this. And I'm like, I just didn't feel like formalizing it. And then recently the Holy Spirit is like, girl, you're already sitting here talking with me, just record. And here we are, okay? So I love you all so much. I really love this background. I gotta come back here and film more often. Yes, you wanna make sure that you're on my email list. If you're not already, you can go to bonkaylaauthor.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom and put your email in. What else? You want to follow me on all social media if you're not already, at Bonkay the Author. You want to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do, if you are in need of a stage coach, you know, we can do virtual sessions. If you're in Houston, we could do in person, whatever you're comfortable with. But I ask that you only reach out for that after you've already done these steps, because sometimes y'all have more resources than you have commitment. People be trying to skip steps and just pay for something. And I could take your money, and I will take your money. But I advise you to do all the things I just outlined for free. All right? First, I love you. God bless.